Welcome back, students. Today we are going to discuss Unit 6 Gas Exchange and Transport topic, Part 2. So, let's start. But before we start the main content, I would like to inform that the images used in our slides are for education purpose only. We respect intellectual property right of the original creator and owner of these images. If you are the owner of any of the images used in this PPT, have any concern, any issue, please contact us at sathi@iitk.ac.in and we shall remove the images. In this particular video lecture, we are mainly discussing these points: gas exchange and transport, pulmonary gas exchange and organ involved, transportation of gas in blood, gas exchange in aqueous media. So, exchange of gases. First step is breathing, in which inhalation and exhalation of various oxygen and carbon dioxide occur. Now, exchange of gases occur at the alveoli level. Okay, so as you know, this alveoli, these are the primary site for gas exchange. These are the primary site for gas exchange, and these are present inside the lung. Okay, so the oxygen and carbon dioxide are exchanged between alveoli and blood level. Alveoli and blood level, and exchange occur through simple diffusion method, which is based on the pressure, or we can say the concentration gradient of that particular gas. Okay, so exchange occur through simple diffusion process, which is based on the pressure or concentration gradient of that particular gas. So, partial pressure, here there is a term used, we frequently use this term, partial pressure. This partial pressure actually represents the contribution of an individual gas in a mixture. Okay, so as you can see in this particular diagram, this sky blue one is a alveolar air. These are present in the alveoli of lung. Okay, so because of the inhalation, in the inspired air, concentration or partial pressure of oxygen is more. Okay, while in the inspired air, partial pressure of carbon dioxide is less. So, when the concentration of oxygen is more in the alveoli, then obviously from high concentration to low concentration, gas automatically move on, and low concentration is present inside the blood. So, automatically this, because of the simple diffusion method, the oxygen is transferred from the high concentration to the lower concentration side. Okay, and through the pulmonary vein, it slowly move towards the tissue site. Okay, this oxygenated blood is, after when this oxygen is diffused from the alveoli to the blood level, that time this oxygen, we can use the term oxygenated blood because it contains oxygen right now. So this systematic artery actually carry oxygenated blood and slowly move from the heart to the various tissue site, where the concentration of oxygen is high, while in the tissue again concentration of oxygen is low. So obviously from high concentration to low concentration, again oxygen will get diffused from high concentration to the lower concentration. Okay, so, and at the same time, the concentration of carbon dioxide is more in the tissue, while it is less in the systematic vein. So obviously again, because of the high concentration to the low concentration level, carbon dioxide also get move on, and slowly again this blood further carry now carbon dioxide, which we can use the term deoxygenated blood. So this deoxygenated blood further taken up or carried up by the systematic vein and towards the pulmonary artery, with the help of pulmonary artery, it then from high concentration to the lower concentration site. As you can see here, what is the concentration or partial pressure? 45, while here only 40. So high pressure present inside the pulmonary artery, so it moved from the high to low side. So expiration or exhalation of carbon dioxide occur. So this is the whole pathway, this is the whole system through which, or partial pressure through which, exchange of carbon dioxide and oxygen occur within alveoli and blood and then tissue level. Okay, so in this whole process, one term which already I told you, partial pressure, we so many times we will use in the upcoming slides, as this partial pressure actually represent the contribution of an individual gas in a mixture. Okay, so concentration gradient also occur over here. So because of the concentration gradient, oxygen move from the alveoli to the blood. Just now I already told you the detailed of this diagram. Okay, so as the concentration of this oxygen is high in the alveoli, so from high to low, it will move from alveoli to the blood and then to the tissue, while carbon dioxide move in the opposite direction, as just now we have discussed. Okay, so now let's discuss the factors which actually affect this diffusion process, like solubility of gases, membrane thickness. These two things play a very important role. Okay, as you know, this carbon dioxide is 20 to 25 times more soluble than oxygen. Okay, so the diffusion membrane, as you know, this diffusion membrane consists of three different layers. First one is aqueous epithelium of alveoli, then endothelium of this alveoli capillary, and the basement substance. Okay, so the membrane, this membrane actually favor oxygen diffusion from the alveoli to the tissue and carbon dioxide diffusion from tissue to alveoli. So the thickness of the membrane, okay, one important factor. Second, solubility of the gases, another important factor. Okay, now transportation of gases into the blood. As you know, this oxygen is actually 97% oxygen is transported via red blood cell, remaining 3% oxygen is transported via plasma. Okay, while for carbon dioxide 20 to 25% only 20 to 25% is transported via RBC. 7% it is dissolved in the plasma, and about 70% of carbon dioxide is actually carried as a bicarbonate ion. So this is the important difference between the oxygen and carbon dioxide transportation. 97% of oxygen is transported via RBC, while 70% of carbon dioxide is transported as a bicarbonate ion. Okay. Now, transportation of oxygen into the blood. As you know, this carbon dioxide, this oxygen is actually bind with the hemoglobin. This is the structure of hemoglobin. It is a red colored pigment. It is a iron containing pigment, red colored pigment. Okay, and this hemoglobin can bind 4 molecules of oxygen. This hemoglobin can bind 4 molecules of oxygen, maximum 4 molecule of oxygen. Okay, in a time. So oxygen binding to hemoglobin is primarily related to the partial pressure of oxygen, which denote as PO2. Okay, other factors also include partial pressure of carbon dioxide, what is the hydrogen ion concentration, what is the temperature. These are certain other factors which also influence the transportation of oxygen. But primarily it is related to the partial pressure of oxygen. So the percentage saturation of hemoglobin with oxygen, if it is plotted against partial pressure of oxygen, then it will give us a sigmoid curve, which is known as oxygen dissociation curve. If we plot a graph between partial pressure of oxygen and oxygen saturation of hemoglobin, then this type of curve we can obtain this type of sigmoid curve. This curve actually help us to study the effect of other factors like PCO2, hydrogen ion concentration on oxygen binding to the hemoglobin. Okay. Now, in alveoli, as already we have discussed in previous slide, in alveoli, what is the concentration of oxygen or partial pressure? It is at upper side, high concentration or high partial pressure of oxygen, and low partial pressure of carbon dioxide is present in alveoli in inhalated air, and obviously lesser hydrogen ion concentration and low temperature. So these conditions actually favor the formation of oxyhemoglobin. Okay, so very quickly oxygen is diffused from the alveoli towards the blood side, and very quickly it forms oxyhemoglobin by combining with the hemoglobin. While in the tissue, just opposite situation are there. In tissue, already oxygen is used up, so concentration or partial pressure of oxygen is low in the tissue, while carbon dioxide is present in the higher amount, high hydrogen ion concentration is there, and temperature is also high. And these situation actually favor oxygen dissociation from the oxyhemoglobin. So very quickly oxygen is dissociated from the hemoglobin and further used up by the tissue and come from the blood to the tissue side. Okay, so this is how transportation of oxygen occur. So approximately 5 ml of oxygen can be delivered to the tissue per 100 ml of oxygenated blood under normal physiological condition, and this is an important data. Sometime question ask on this particular data. Okay, 5 ml of oxygen is delivered per 100 ml of oxygenated blood. Now, for carbon dioxide transportation, carbon dioxide is carried by the hemoglobin as a carboaminohemoglobin. Okay, and this binding is related to the partial pressure of carbon dioxide. Same. Okay, and this and approximately 4 ml of carbon dioxide is delivered to the alveoli per 100 ml of deoxygenated blood. Only 4 ml, while for oxygen 5 ml. Okay, and this is carbon dioxide which is present inside the tissue. This carbon dioxide which is present inside the tissue, it very quickly come and combined with the water and form carbonic acid, and as a carbonic ion and hydrogen ion, it dissociate it to the carbonic ion, and this carbonic ion very quickly dissolve into the plasma as carbonic acid, and this is how it will transported. And carbon dioxide, again, binding is related to the partial pressure of carbon dioxide, and approximately, as I just now said, that 4 ml of carbon dioxide is delivered to the alveoli per 100 ml of deoxygenated blood. In the tissue and alveoli, what is the situation for carbon dioxide? Tissue, partial pressure of carbon dioxide is more, right? While for oxygen, it is low inside the tissue. So more carbon dioxide bind to the hemoglobin, while in alveoli, carbon dioxide concentration is low, right? So, and this situation is very much favorable for the carbon dioxide for its dissociation from carboaminohemoglobin. So very quickly it dissociate from the this carboaminohemoglobin formation. So this carbon dioxide bound to the hemoglobin in tissue is delivered at the alveoli level. Okay, and this RBC, red hemoglobin which contain high concentration of the enzyme carbonic anhydrase, which actually mainly involved for the formation of this carbonic acid. So minute quantity of carbonic anhydrase are also present inside the plasma. So this is how this carbon dioxide is transported or through various media, means like through plasma, through RBC, and as a carbonic acid, carbonic ion form. Okay, so at the tissue site, high concentration of carbon dioxide diffuse into the blood, right? Diffuse into the blood and form bicarbonate ion. At the tissue level, carbon dioxide concentration is more, right? So this very quickly form bicarbonate ion. While at alveoli level, carbon dioxide concentration is less. So obviously, if it is less, then obviously the reaction proceed in the opposite direction, leading to the formation of carbon dioxide and water, leading to the formation of carbon dioxide and water, right? So this carbon dioxide trapped as a bicarbonate ion at the tissue level and is transported to the alveoli and released as carbon dioxide. Clear? So this carbon dioxide is carried by hemoglobin as carboaminohemoglobin. Okay, this is tissue. This is plasma. Carbon dioxide is transported from tissue to RBC, and then very quickly it will combine with the water and form carbonic acid, and very quickly it will dissociate in the form of bicarbonate ion and hydrogen ion. Okay, and this binding is related to the partial pressure. Partial pressure is already this partial pressure or concentration is gradient is works for both the type of gases, carbon dioxide as well as oxygen, right? And approximately, as we already discussed, 4 ml of carbon dioxide is delivered to the alveoli per 100 ml of deoxygenated blood. Okay, and this is the carbon dioxide. This is again carbon dioxide. This carbon dioxide just combined with this hemoglobin and form a carbonic acid, right? And this oxygen, concentration of oxygen is present over here is more, here is less. So from this to this side it will move, high concentration to low concentration. Okay, while carbon dioxide is present in, or we can say carbon dioxide is partial pressure, carbon dioxide is more, so high to low side. Here low, so move from tissue to RBC side. Here oxygen is less, partial pressure is less, here more, so just opposite direction. So this is how it works. Now let's discuss the regulation of respiration. Regulation, for the regulation of respiration, there is a center known as respiratory rhythm center works, and it is present in the medulla region of the brain, which is primarily responsible for the this respiration regulation purpose. Okay, so there is a center known as pneumotaxic center, which is present inside this pons region here. Pneumotaxic center in the pons region can modulate the respiratory rhythm center's function, and some neural signals comes from the pneumotaxic center can alter the duration of inspiration and adjust the respiration rate. Okay, so there is another area which is known as a chemosensitive area, which is actually adjacent to the rhythm center, and this area is highly sensitive to the carbon dioxide and hydrogen ions. And this chemosensitive area actually increase the level of these substance, activate the chemosensitive area. The chemosensitive area signals the rhythm center to make necessary respiratory adjustment to eliminate these substance. What these substance? Carbon dioxide and hydrogen ions. Now certain receptor and remedial actions. Receptors are associated with aortic arc and cardiac artery, which actually recognize if there is any change in carbon dioxide and hydrogen ion concentration. These receptors send signals to the rhythm center for correction action. Oxygen's role is also very much important in respiratory rhythm center to regulate is relatively actually inefficiently. Now let's discuss some disorder which is related to respiration. First one is the asthma. Asthma means in this particular type of disorder, a person feel difficulty in breathing, and wheezing sound is also a symptom. Difficult in breathing and causing wheezing sound. Okay, in asthma, actually inflammation of bronchi and bronchiole occur. Inflammation of these bronchi and bronchiole occur. Okay, in the normal way, this is the structure of normal airway of bronchi or bronchiole. This is the cross section. While in the inflamed one, during asthma, this type thickening of this bronchi and bronchiole is more, so there is a difficulty for breathing of the oxygen and carbon dioxide. Okay, because of the inflammation, this bronchi and bronchiole air wall get thickened up. Okay, second one is emphysema. In emphysema, it comes under chronic category, in which alveoli wall, these are the alveoli wall. This is the picture of normal alveoli, and this one is the emphysema's patient's wall. And this alveoli wall, this is the alveoli wall. These are damaged, so it reduces the respiratory surface area. What is the major cause? Enzyme, mainly all those those are frequent, have the habitual for smoking, cigarette smoking. They are actually suffer with this type of disease. Third is occupational respiratory disorder. It occur in those individual, those are work in certain kind of industry in which some stone breaking, grinding, cement factory or dust production are the main feature of those industry. So because of the excessive dust production, body's defense mechanism actually affected so much because of the long exposure of those dust particle, cause inflammation in the respiratory system and fibrosis or in those type of individuals. So this is all about the respiration and exchange of gases related topic. I hope most of the things has been cleared now. Now this topic has been covered from my side. If you have any question related to the topic, please let me know. We will discuss it later on. Till then, take care, bye bye, and keep learning. Namaskar.